Part two. I might be getting a call from Zellner's office, so maybe I'll have to go again. But yeah, sorry I ended the live before. I got a call from Kent Pellegrini, who is another one of Kathleen's clients. And I run his Facebook page, and he wants me to be his go-between between him and his lawyers. So so he called me with some news and stuff that I need to handle with his lawyers. So I just had to call. So I talked to Kent, and he instructed me on everything that he wants me to do. And then he wanted me to call Doug at Zellner's office. And so I just called and had to leave a message. And so now I'm back on with you guys that technically have 1 hour to go, since when I do these lives, I do for like 2 hours. Christy says, hope Kent is in better spirits. He is, because Kent's been in prison now for 2 years. And his story just isn't getting told. And he hates that he's sitting there in prison and nobody's hearing his side of it. And so what's happening now is he sent me some stuff that he wants me to look up, and his attorneys are going to either electronically send me some affidavits from his case, or I have to go into the office and get them. And Kent wants me to put them up on his Facebook page so people can see this stuff. And so it's making Kent feel better that his story will get out. And so he wants me to read through these affidavits and pull out bullet points and get those highlighted. And then he was saying, well, you know, what I want you for sure to point this out or that out. And so then he was talking about that. Well, I said, do you have a copy of it? You know, could you just then, you know, let me know which of these things, because everything's like numbered, you know, so which of the things that you want me to spotlight in there. So then first he was saying he's going to write it up, and then he was going to mail it to me, send it out to me before the weekend. And then I said, well, how about, you know, just call me tomorrow, because if the lawyers are sending me this stuff electronically, I could have it in 2 seconds. Actually, I should check my email and see if I have it already. Ken says he's not in a hurry, and that he wants to work on it through the weekend. And I think it's, you know, it's something that it's giving him a purpose right now to now write this stuff up and get it out there so people can see these things about his ex-wife on what's in there that hasn't been released. So Kent's page, if it's Justice in the number 4, Kent, and there's stuff in there on his case if you want to go look into Kent's case. So all right, now I'll scroll through whatever comments are here. There's only 32 people on right now. Christy says, I'm definitely going to write him and Melissa next week while I have some downtime in the hotel room. Yeah, Kent really likes getting people's letters too. And Kent is different than the other cases. Well, for one, he's not in for murder, but he doesn't want anything from anybody. He doesn't want people putting anything in his commissary account. You know, his family's not looking for help on anything. Kent just likes to know he's got supporters out there. And Kent does write you back. So, and Melissa writes you back too. So, yeah, so people, you're welcome to, you know, look into Kent Pellegrini's case and look into Melissa Kaluzinski's case, both represented by Kathleen Zellner. So, you know, again, Kathleen doesn't take cases unless she knows they're innocent. So if you want to throw your support behind those two, you know, go for it. And hello to Ireland and to Denmark. Beatrice says, hello, sorry to ask if I might be out of topic. What is the name of the new book release that KZ recommended? It's called Wrecking Crew, The Destruction of the Steven Avery Case. I believe it's what it's called. It's by John Ferak, Ferak. So you can find it on Amazon. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I don't have a Kindle, but one of the moderators from Steven Avery Project let me know that there's a Kindle app for my iPad. And so I was able to just get it through Amazon. I paid $5. And I paid $5, and then they gave me like some $3 and something credit towards something else Kindle. So, yeah, so I paid like nothing for it. Danny says, relatively new to the group. Who's Kent? Kent Pellegrini is another one of Kathleen Zellner's clients, and I advocate for him as well. And I run his Facebook page, and I go visit him, and he calls me, and that kind of stuff. Isabel, can a Canadian rally in the U.S. without issues, obviously peaceful? Yeah, if you want to do a peaceful protest, yeah, peaceful protests, they can't do anything about. But, here in the States, right now, things are a little crazy. If you're not from here, or even if you are here legally and you're not white, they go after you pretty hard. But I would say no, if you're planning on attending a rally here, you'll be fine. Okay. 2 of my dogs are outside, and I heard a truck, and I don't know if UPS is coming, and my dog's going to be annoying them. Rachel says, so who is the family of Steven that is trying to block you from contacting him, or vice versa? You support his innocence and Brendan's. That doesn't make sense to me, because you don't support their fundraisers. What fundraisers? So that goes back 3 years. It's Carla Chase, who I was friends with Carla early on. And so Carla's come down here to Illinois to my house, and I've been to her house in Wisconsin. And I was organizing the original Manitowoc rally. Sorry, I keep hearing noises out there. And then Carla tried to pull rank on me and tell me that she's my boss and I have to do what she says. And no, I don't. I told her she has no control over me. And so she's been out to sabotage me ever since. They've done really crazy things, like filing a complaint against me to the Attorney General's office, contacting my local police department. They've tried to destroy my boyfriend owns a print shop. So they tried to destroy his print shop ratings on Yelp. They're really nasty bunch of people. And so, yes, Carla is Steven's niece, but she's also somebody who said he was guilty until Making a Murderer came out. She didn't go visit him until Making a Murderer came out. She could care less about Steven until Making a Murderer came out. So, and now she's just using Making a Murderer. She appointed herself family spokesperson. She's not. Steven's told her a million times that she doesn't speak for him and wants her to remove his name off of anything that she does. But she does it anyway. So it's a control thing. And Carla just wants fame and fortune off of this whole thing. I hate going into all that drama crap. Chris says, did you hear the news? Walker appointed Schimmel to Waukopee County Court. No, I did not hear that. Will that have any bearing on Steve's case? Just saw this on a Facebook group, I believe. I wouldn't think it would affect Stephen if it's not Calumet or Manitowoc, since those are the two places his case has been, right? Allison says, my daughter is a law student in university. I've now got her watching the Netflix season. She's already shocked. Yeah, I know. I guess for a law student, it's what not to do. Oh, God. A moderator says the noises are Boston Brett. There goes UPS again. I'm hoping they're not just passing my house because my dog's out. Oh, and then somebody said the noises are Carla spying. Boston Brett, if you don't know who he is, he's a guy on Twitter. He was on Facebook at one time. I think he's still on Facebook too. But his name is Brett Condon. And he actually threatened me at one point. And the police got involved and it was all stupid. But he's one of Carla's friends because and he's a guilter and Carla's friends with all the guilters. Janet asked, is there anything new? Nope. This is just weekly. We can discuss whatever. The book just came out and, so a lot of stuff in the book if people want to discuss the book. Danielle says, can KZ put Carla on a cease or desist from speaking for Stephen? I don't think Kathleen's busy with real stuff. And she, anything Carla is so far beneath Kathleen, that she's not going to waste her time. And Stephen, at the end of the day, though, will still say Carla is his family. He's loyal to his family. So there's no way you're going to get rid of Carla, 100%. So she's just not going to bother herself with that, and I've done my best. We fought battles early on 3 years ago. I mean, it was really, really ugly. And then I've tried to rise above it. Like you'll even see the Stephen Avery Project page, the public page that we've got the 170 something thousand people. We don't talk about any of this bullshit. That's why gossip was started, that we could then discuss about this stuff in there. Most people who follow the case, they don't want to hear about this bullshit. And I would rather not discuss the bullshit. I would rather just, here's the case and this is what's going on and here's how you can support Stephen, and not, just the family stuff doesn't even exist, so I'm hoping we'll be able to turn that corner and go to that. Tel Aviv. Isabel says, would you organize a protest next June or July? Personally, no. And I also do not promote any of the rallies that are being planned here. This isn't me being bitter because I organized the first one and then they took it away or whatever. It's because I personally feel those rallies are an embarrassment. Stephen Avery Project, look at the 170 something thousand people that are on there. How many millions of people watch Making a Murderer? And then you see that rally and there's 30 people there. It's embarrassing. And those aren't even, I say there's a difference between fans and supporters. And those people that go to that rally, they're fans, not supporters. Going there to the courthouse or doing any of that stuff, it does nothing. It goes nowhere. So it's just something for those people to hang out and hopefully they press films them. That's all they care about. It's not doing anything to benefit Stephen or Brendan. So trust me, I'm an activist. I've organized, I can't tell you how many protests that in Chicago. I've got a protest scheduled in January in Chicago that I'm organizing. But there's just no point. So no, I would not organize a protest or a rally June or July, and I'm not going to promote any of the ones that other people are planning. It's something too, when I talked to Carla that one day, she and one of her minions were jumping on me right away, wanting me to help organize their June rally or do a sister rally in Chicago for them. No, the rallies are dumb. I'm sorry, they just are, and they're embarrassing. They're so embarrassing. So no, Stephen Avery Project and myself personally will have nothing to do with any of those. Now, if it's something where we need to go occupy an office, this judge isn't listening, let's go sit in their office until they do something, that I'm on board for. But of course, I also don't do anything without talking to Kathleen first. So, and I know from dealing with Brendan's lawyers, when people have talked about things of going at the judge or whatever in there, the lawyers have said, please, no, don't contact them. Don't email them. Don't go to their office. Don't do any of that. So, yeah. So unless something gets Kathleen's seal of approval, I don't do it. Let me scroll. Okay, there's a moderator saying Walker appointed Schimmel to serve as Waukesha County Circuit Court Judge. Amy says, is a book released worldwide? I'm UK. One of our moderators, Carrie, lives in Australia, and I know she downloaded it. So, yeah, so I think you can get it electronically. Whether or not you can go to the bookstore right now, I don't know. And I know another one of our moderators ordered the book from Amazon, and it's going to be delivered to them on Friday. So, oh my God, I'm so tired. Brittany says, are you in Wisconsin? Sorry, I'm new to the group and trying to figure everything out here. No, I'm in a Chicago suburb. I'm in Illinois. And should I not say own Stephen Avery Project? Because I saw that was one of the things that the Guilters made fun of me for, saying that I own Stephen Avery Project. And they're like, who owns a page? I don't know. So then what do you want me to call it? What do you want me to say? It's my page. I run it. I don't know. Lily says, I was booted from the innocent or guilty group this morning because Richard Donovan could not take the heat of someone putting up legit info that it just may be someone other than Stephen and Brendan. He really lost his shit. With Guilter, you are with or totally against, and they are not nice about it. Richard Donovan is the worst, one of the worst. He used to be a supporter. And then he switched to Guilter because I guess he gets more attention that way. But he's also really good friends with Carla, which is something that I always think is sick and pathetic. Because I'm telling you right now, if I knew my family was innocent, I'm not going to be friends with somebody who says they're guilty. And Donovan says horrible things like he hopes Dolores dies. He's just a nasty, nasty person. And he's totally obsessed with me. I think he's in love with me. I don't think he goes a day without posting about me. But, so yeah, Donovan was at the last rally. Again, rally's a joke. Richard Donovan was at that one with Carla, arms around Carla resting her head on his shoulder. Yeah, what a great rally. But, yeah, that innocent or guilty group is one that claims it's where you can discuss both sides, but really it's just a mean clique of people who think Stephen and Brendan are guilty. And if you post a different opinion, they're going to attack you and they're going to make fun of you and they're going to be all childish about it. Stupid. Isabel says, also, what's with the Scott and Bobby page? I think they want money. The Scott and Bobby page is run by the Guilters. And so it's a joke page. They're making fun of you. And so they love that their numbers go up. So by you clicking to join that page or like that page, whatever it is, they get off on it. They love that you're there. And so they're pretending to be, supporters of Scott and Bobby. And they're acting like, now remember I said there's a difference between supporters and fans. They're acting like the Stephen and Brendan fans, but they're doing it for Scott and Bobby. So they're just making fun of people. And so them doing that, talking about doing a fund, it's again making fun of the family for having all those funds for themselves. It's not real. It's all snark and sarcasm. But those people are also, again, Carla's friends. And some of them are her moderators of her family page that are doing that stuff. But Carla's like okay with them doing that. So the Scott and Bobby page is just to make fun of you. So if you're going there as a supporter, they're just doing it to make fun of you, and they want to get you upset, and they're trolls. So they get off. Same thing with Innocent and Guilty, and I can't even remember all their stupid groups now. What is it? The Sandbox or Toy Box or whatever the fuck it is. They've got a million of them. So all they want to do is fight with you. So you're better off just ignoring them. Now I get it. It is fun to rip into them at times. Now I don't with them. I long since, it's been years, I don't engage with them at all because they're just nothing to me. But in other things I've done activism wise, I do get, it's fun to get in somebody's face and argue with them. But what's the end result going to be? You're not going to change their mind, and they're not going to change your mind. So there's just no point. Let me scroll. What does the book say about Teresa? It talks about her sex life. She was promiscuous, I guess is what you would say. But again, that's not trying to rip on her. It's just showing, like she would have her photography. When everybody talks about her being a photographer, most of her photography was like taking naked pictures of people or people having sex. And so like she took pictures of a married couple that, wanted those pictures taken. And then Teresa then participated and had sex with this married couple. And then the husband dumped the wife for Teresa, and Teresa continued a relationship with him. So like that's obviously something that should have been looked into. So it's so that's like right away in the introduction to talk about Teresa is her sex life. And, again, like I said, it's going to be like the Guilters are going to jump all over it because it's like you're victimizing the victim. But it's not, because, while I have never been a promiscuous person, teach your own, so John Farrick is just showing that, she had a lifestyle that there were plenty of other people that should have been looked at. And they didn't. They zeroed in on Stephen immediately. Chris says, why do you think Carla is friends with these Guilters? It makes no sense. Because she just wants to feel popular and have friends. Because she's lived her entire life being an Avery where she's not liked and had no friends and had nothing to do. And so now she's just desperate to be top dog. You know, the head bitch in charge. Oh, Elizabeth is saying nice things about me. I don't like to read that stuff because I just feel weird. I don't like to read it out loud. It just seems weird to me. Thank you, Elizabeth. And yeah, I don't really get excited about the dickheads. And as you can see right now too, it's I'm only on the 4-hour sleep, so it's really hard for me to, you know, I'm really drained right now, so I can't get really excited about anything. Janet says, is Mama Avery grandmother to Clara? Oh, and Christy's already answered you. Jewel says, that's a huge thing that should have been looked into. Thank you for answering my questions. And you're totally right. It's not victim bashing, it's facts. Yeah. Amy says, if Carla actually cared about her family, she needs to step out of this. It's turning people away from following poor Stephen and Brendan fans. Everyone is noticing something isn't right about her. Well, and somebody posted this, I don't know where, one of the moderators showed me it, and it really made a ton of sense to me, because it was, people were asking Carla to prove where this money is going, and then her proof was just posting her Uncle Earl saying, yep, money's all good. That doesn't prove anything. And so then people's defense will always be, well, she's family. Oh my God, I thought I saw a truck pull up. I need sleep. Anyway, so people's defense will be, you know, well, she's family, and obviously family's going to do what's best for family. And then somebody's defense to that is, well, no, because the family is currently hiding and covering for a murderer, you know, because, you know, we know Bobby did it. And Carla is making excuses and trying to point fingers other than Bobby. So trying to cover for Bobby hurts Stephen and Brendan. So, and I've got one of my dogs is at the window wanting to come in. Hold on a second. I'm going to let the dogs in. All right. So, all right, let me scroll to the next comment. So basically, do not give money to Dolores PayPal. That's not Dolores's PayPal. Dolores doesn't have internet. So she doesn't have an email address. She doesn't have a PayPal. So that's going through somebody else. And then some money may be given to Dolores at some point. So no, do not do it. That's why here at Stephen Avery Project, the only thing we're going to tell people to do is put the money in his commissary account or send it to Kathleen Zellner. That's it. Elizabeth says, did any of Stephen's attorneys try to take fingerprints from the steering wheel of Teresa's car? Doesn't seem like they did much of anything. And I posted today, one of the other moderators had in our moderator chat, it sent us a link to one of Stephen's interrogations that I had posted today. But near the end of it too, you know, because Wiegert and Fassbender did the same bullshit to Stephen like they did to Brendan, where you talk to him for a long time and then you leave the room for a long time and then you come back in and now it's, you know, we know you did this and blah, blah. And so they're totally lying to Stephen, and they said to him on there that they found his bloody palm print on Teresa's vehicle and that they found Teresa's blood in his house. which is all not true. So I don't know about the steering wheel specifically, but I do know there are fingerprints that were found on the RAV4 from, I think, 2 different sets of fingerprints that they've never looked into who they belong to. Tina says, is there anything in the book we haven't heard? And Kyle's asking that too. Yes. There will be things that you have not heard in the book. I recommend whatever, no matter what your level is in the Steven Avery case, if you've been following it for, you know, since Making a Murderer came out 3 years ago, or you're new to it, it's a good book because it really goes over everything that's in this. Well, not everything, a lot of what's in this case. And Farrick tells it in a good way that's easy to follow. And, you know, because sometimes legalese, at least for me, you know, my eyes will glaze over. So I think everybody should read this book. And there has not been a book on Steven's case that I've recommended. This one I do. So you better not. Sorry, dog. Isabel, do you think Scott could have been an informant to frame Avery and use Bobby to help him? I know there's a lot of different theories on that. Something's fishy. So if something, you're not. See, 2 of my dogs were out. 1 wouldn't go out, and now the 2 are in, and now the 1 is asking. No, knock it off. And then he's just going to piss in my house. So if there was something of Scott, since all of a sudden he came into money and this or that, I wouldn't be surprised. Christy, I will say it's in no one has yet. Oh my God, there's a man looking in your window. Whoop, wrong way. Right there. I did just order blackout curtains for this window too. I've got blinds, but I hate blinds, so I pulled them up because I know you can't tell. I don't think you can tell from this, but I've got this great view of this big open field that's across the street, and so I'd like to be able to see the field. You know, we've got deer and coyote and, you know, stuff out there, and I like to be able to see it. So now I just ordered some blackout curtains instead of blinds. Chris says, Carla also posted a pic of Dolores surrounded by boxes of stuff, but the merchandise was not anything near the value of the money I'm sure they have received. Well, Carla's also posted a picture because she's directing people to send stuff to her house because she's saying she's having Christmas at her house and that she's just going to wrap this stuff up and we'll give it to Dolores for Christmas. Don't trust it for a second. I already know the stuff she pocketed from the auction they had at her house. So yes, Dolores is benefiting from this stuff. She is, you know, because that's Carla's in right now is Dolores, you know, because Steven had removed Carla from his visitors list. She hasn't been on there in forever. He wasn't calling her ever. But now that it, you know, oh, look, I'm taking care of Dolores, that's going to appease Steven. So Dolores will benefit off of some of this stuff, but Carla's getting the lion's share. Chelsea says, what are your thoughts on the Hallbacks and their lack of emotion throughout all of this? My mom would have been hysterical and she never sheds a tear. Chelsea, I've said this is, I don't know the Hallbacks, so I don't want to assume. They may be a family that is just, don't show your emotions. You know, I saw them when I attended one of Brendan's hearings in Chicago. So we don't know what they're like behind closed doors. So maybe they're going to be crying, you know, that they're upset, you know. So I I don't know. So, her brothers, Tim and Mike, are suspect to me. I do think Michael Hallbach was part of the RAV4 getting from Cuss Road. Is it Cuss Road or Cuss Road? I don't know how you pronounce that. To the salvage yard. So I think he was a part of that plant thing. And then Tim, being a lawyer, was trying to block Stephen from getting legal representation. So I don't like that stuff, but then also you have to put yourself in their shoes. And I think they believed Stephen did this. And they were afraid, because of him being wrongfully incarcerated, that he would end up walking on this one. So I probably would have done everything at my disposal to make sure that that person paid for the crime. So I don't fault them for doing it, but at this point in time, after everything that's been released, I will fault them for not looking into it more and still ignoring what evidence is out there. Kyle says, does Ferrick get into any new details on the foundry? He does talk about it a little bit, and there's a picture of the actual foundry in the book. And he's got the he talks about the woman there who talked about the Sikaki letter. Yeah, so they do talk about Scott's work. And Kyle says he posted a picture when he was there this summer. Anne says, 2 people in the UK. I bought the book this morning on Kindle, and I'm in Ireland. It was only £3.45 or thereabouts. Thank you so much, Anne. Michelle says, hi from Aberdeen in Scotland. Can I ask what the book is called? It's called Wrecking Crew by John Ferrick. F-E-R-A-K. Wrecking Crew, the destruction of the Stephen Avery case. Everybody read this book. Tiffany says, my heart just breaks for his parents. Mine too. It's, there are so many tragedies in this. Okay, first of all, from the first time they took Stephen, he lost his kids. And his wife. I don't know what his relationship was like with his wife, but when he was taken the first time, he had a wife and 4 children, and or 5, right? Because Lori had another child that Stephen treated as his own. So he lost his kids, and then he lost all that time with his parents. And then now this second time around, I mean, we all know Jody is a drunk piece of shit, but he had a girlfriend whom he loved, and lots of money coming around the corner that, he could live a nice life and take care of his parents, and then to be taken again. I really feel for Dolores and Al. And I feel for Stephen's kids, whether or not they care for their dad now or have any relationship with him. It's not their fault. So I hope at some point they can find their way back to their dad. And also he has grandchildren now too. So I hope at some point, they can all be together. Tina says, do you think Zellner visited Stevens Day to share some new information on the case? We know she visited him, because she posted that she did. And yeah, I'm sure she was filling him in on, what's going on out here, with the case. Isabel says, where are these folks these days? Link, Colborn, Tadek, Bobby, Hilgas, Sheriff. Blank retired to Arizona, right? Isn't Link in Arizona or New Mexico, something like that? Colborn is still around Manitowoc. He retired this year, though, right? Somebody said that. Tadek is married to Brendan's mom, Steven's sister. And Bobby lives right down not far from Scott and Barb. Ryan Hilgas changed his last name to Hill. So he goes by Ryan Hill now. He's a nurse. He's still in Wisconsin somewhere. Sheriff, which sheriff? But yeah, all the players are still around. Elizabeth says, what may be Mike's motive to move the car? It's an absurd. How could he know who's guilty? It's sick. Because the law enforcement showed him their made up evidence that gonna say that Teresa was, at Stephen Avery's and he's a killer and blah, blah, blah. So, and they just bought it. They shouldn't have. But I get it, because I've talked about this before, what Making a Murderer did for me, because I'm white. I've lived my whole life in a suburb of Chicago, so I'm not in the city. I'm in a, suburb. So I've never feared police or questioned police. And, if a cop was to question me, I'd be, just answer, da, da, da. And so I could see the Hallback family being, why wouldn't they trust police? They have no reason not to trust the police. And, Tim Hallbach's an attorney, just so I believe they just believed it and wanted to make sure that the guilty paid for it. Isabel says, you're so patient with everyone. You'd be a good mom. I hope you have kids. I have one son and he's 25. So no grandkids. But I did actually, before I had my son, I worked with kids and then stopped to work to raise my son. So, but that's funny. I don't seem like I have a lot of patience. Danielle says, question about Scott. He said he saw Bobby when he was supposedly going hunting. Could he have followed Bobby, not realizing that Bobby was up to no good, and saw him kill Teresa, then help cover it up? I'm thinking that he was there for the crime. Also believe I saw a photo of him smiling slightly when Stephen got convicted. All right. I'm going to be going up to Manitowoc. I don't know when for sure, and I'm not going to say when I'm going because people don't like me. And but the thing that Kathleen talks about is now where the car was spotted on Cuss Road, where a couple witnesses reported it. That is literally 500 feet from the trailer where Scott lived at that time. And that's also where Bobby said he was going to go hunting, was on Scott's property. And Cuss Road is half a mile from the salvage yard. So I'll show you when I go, when you drive, you have to drive around these quarries and fields and stuff, so you go down 147 and blah, 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 and you come around this way. But at the end of the day now, it seems like you're far away, but you're really just on the behind side of the yard in the quarry. So I find it interesting that Bobby claims he doesn't know anything about Kuss Road or the quarry, yet he's a regular hunter over where Scott lived, which is 500 feet from where the car was. And that area is also where the search dogs went to, and so also if you watch, it's one thing that didn't make sense to me when I watched Kathleen's reenactment that she has. You can see it on YouTube, and we've posted it here before, of how Bobby committed this. And then all of a sudden you see at Kuss Road, there's Scott. I'm like, well, how the frick is Scott here now to help him move this body? I'm like, I'm not getting it, because they're not showing like Scott was driving his vehicle or anything. But now when I see, and it's also, I think it's the book that I just read, Ferrick's book, that talks about his trailer being 500 feet away. It's like, oh my God, yeah. So Scott could have absolutely been right there. But now another thing to remember is that there's multiple witnesses that said they saw Scott with Bobby at Barb's house around noon. So, and Bobby knew that Teresa was coming that day. So, was there some plan? Or was there that Scott had just gone home and Bobby happened to do this and Scott was there and saw it and helped after the fact? Because him and Bobby were buddies from, liking to kill stuff together. And all right, let me address the Scott smile when the verdict is read. I personally don't think that was a real smile. I think that's something like when you slow it down and do all of the, it was something that was just so quick. I don't think it was a haha, he's in prison thing. And far be it from me to defend Scott, but I don't think it is what everybody thinks it is by just pausing here and look, he's smiling. We've got 15 minutes left. What do you think of Stacy Seabrook music? I don't know what you're talking about, Isabel. Tina says, have you listened to Bobby Dassey's November 2017 interview? If so, what's your opinion on it? I have listened to it. I don't recall it right now at this time. I know that he's not really forthcoming on anything. He answers very short and to the point. And I know they went to his house to question him, and so his kids were there during it too. But I think it's more of he's so guilty. Andrea says, no hat today. Nope, but I did shower. I showered right before coming down again. And I'm at the, now here's somebody. It's the one with the really loud babies. Oh, so one of the moderators is saying that that music, that they've posted a couple of the songs in the groups, but I may have not seen them. Yeah, I haven't seen them. Kathy says, think of the interview with two screaming kids. Yeah. Oh, so that's what you're talking about. It's the one with the really loud babies. Yeah. Stacy Seabrook sings songs on YouTube, all relating to Stephen Avery case. Really good. Well, there's a girl, gosh, now I can't even remember her name, and I'm friends with her on Facebook. But I first saw her song when I went to see Steven Drizzen and Laura Nyrider speak. And so they had this girl perform her song, and it's called Bad Man. I want to say her name is Sarah something. It's a really good song. Let me see. No, it's not Sarah. I don't know. Well, Google Bad Man Avery song, and I'm sure you'll find it. And I know I'm Facebook friends with her. It's a really good song. Nelson says, how did Bobby know Teresa Hallback was coming over to Stephen Avery's yard that day? Because it was his mom's van that was being listed for sale, and Barb told her sons to clean out the van and get it ready for pictures. So they all knew. And also, though, one or two of the boys weren't happy with this being listed for sale because they thought it was going to be a car that they could joyride in. So everybody knew. Even Al has said that he knew she was going to be there that day. Everybody knew Teresa was coming to take pictures of the van that day. Amy says, where has Bobby gone? Does anyone know? It looks like he could be anywhere as no one's seen or heard from him. That's, people are making, or people start these rumors and say, you know, he's left his family or he's tried to commit suicide, blah, blah. None of that's true. All Bobby did was leave social media, or at least he's no longer Bobby Dassey on social media. What is going on? You know, who knows if he pulled a page out of his mom's book, like his mom made a big post saying she's leaving Facebook. And then all she did was change her name to Ellen Barbara, which Ellen's her middle name. So now she just goes by Ellen Barbara on there, and she's still on Facebook doing all the same stuff she always has. So maybe Bobby's still on just under another name. But it's because, you know, people were reaching out to him and saying not so nice things. So he shut down his Facebook so he didn't have to deal with that anymore. But as far as I know, Bobby is still with his wife and his kids and all of that. You know, so that's just a rumor. You know, he's not on the run or anything like that. All right, now I'm down to the bottom again. What are you growling at? So, and as for a next live, I don't know when I'll do it again. Obviously, here in the States, we have a holiday on Thursday. So Thursday's holiday. Friday, I'm supposed to be going with the Kalyuzitskis to go visit Melissa. And then the weekend's just chaos for me. So I'm going to try and do a live like once a week. Or I don't even know if maybe I should do twice a week, where I do one at this earlier time. For those of you, oh, it's because you squeaked it 20. I'm so paranoid with no sleep right now. It's just so jittery. You know, because I've done this earlier for all you in around the world, and then other times I do it around 6 p.m. my time, which is about 3 hours from now for other people. So yeah, I don't know when I will be on here next. Let me scroll down. Emily says, but yet when they asked Bobby on the 2017 recording if he knew she was coming, he said no. Yeah, because lie. Taylor asks, is there a face in your window? Yes, it's a decoration. It's a Halloween decoration that I just leave up year round because it always looks like somebody's peeking out my window. Isabel says, could it be possible that the cops planted stuff on Bobby's computer? Possible? Sure. I don't believe that's the case, though. Bobby's the one that looked up that stuff. You know, there's just too much that points to Bobby. The time all this stuff was happening is times when Bobby is the only one at the house. You know, people can try and say so many other people had access to it. No, they didn't. The place is locked. The computer was password protected. People were at work, people were at school. The only one that's home during the day is Bobby because he works the night shift. So Bobby looked it up. And when Barb paid to erase stuff off there, everything that's erased correlates with times the other times Teresa was there. So Bobby put that stuff on the computer. What the cops are guilty of is they should have prosecuted him for what was on that computer, and they hid it because they're just so set on they want to put Stephen away. So they're happy to cover up for a sick, twisted pedophile murderer. Anne says, probably not, though, because of the dates he looked up stuff. Thomas says, wasn't there evidence that files have been removed at times when police controlled the property? Yeah, there was stuff on there, and it's actually in the Ferrick book, Wrecking Crew, that of the, and I'm really bad with numbers, so I'm not even going to try, out of the X number of times that this stuff was accessed, X a number of times Stephen was, they had taken him into custody even. So you can't, I know his loving family spokespeople like to try and say this was done at times that Stephen could have gone in there and done this on the computer, but no. Amy says, Bobby's guilty. Barb knows. Why else would she ask him to wipe computer? Right. She knew something. Kathy says, were they able to retrieve anything Barb paid to have erased? We don't know what fully Zellner got off of there. So, she's kind of hasn't said anything about it. So I don't know if that means that they really didn't find anything or saving that for the next try. Now I'm down at the end here and we're at 2:55. So I think I'm gonna go. I really need to try and sleep. Oh, Kimberly says, how do you spell the name of the book? Not understanding what you're calling it. Sorry. Wrecking, WRECKING, Wrecking Crew, CREW. So look up Wrecking Crew and look up John Ferrick, JOHN FERAK. It's got a longer title, but Wrecking Crew, John Ferrick will get you there. Lee says, why aren't Bobby and Tadek in jail already, please? The evidence on the computer was sick. Because they don't fit their narrative of they want Stephen to be guilty so they don't have to pay him $36 million. So they were okay with excusing that behavior as long as it put Stephen away. Nelson said, but didn't the, I don't even know how you pronounce that guy's name, Bale CD, get everything? I don't know for sure, Nelson. So, all right, I'm down at the end again. So I'm going to say my goodbyes, but go over the last minute plugs that I always want to do. Stephen Avery Project, the public page. That's where we post just about the case. And then here, the MAM group is where we can go into stuff in more detail. And if you see, if you have a question on a rumor or whatever, so like any of the questions like you're asking me here in a live, you can post these questions on Gossip, and somebody will answer it. We've got the moderators, and also there's just plenty of you guys all out there that people know those answers too. So don't be shy. Go, and I always say I'm an open book. So you want to ask me anything, ask me, and I'll tell you straight up. So even if you are in the guilty or family groups or whatever, and you see them say stuff about me, you want to call me out on something, call me out. So Gossip, where you gossip. We talk about things, discuss things. The only things we don't approve of talking about is trying to say Brendan or Stephen are guilty. We won't get into that. Here, let me scroll down again with these other ones. Lee Wilson, are you related to Stephen? No, I just own or run Stephen Avery Project. So, and then get the book. I do recommend Wrecking Crew by John Ferrick. Read that. We should have like a book club, right? We'll do a discussion one day. We need to pick a date where everybody will have read this book, and we'll do a live just to discuss the book and what we learned from it. So read it and take your notes of things that are, stand out to you, and we'll discuss it. And we've got the pinned posts, or what they call announcements, on some page of how you can donate to Stephen's commissary, or how you can donate to Kathleen Zellner for his legal defense, and also how you can write to Stephen. He does like your letters, but he doesn't write back. So you could do those things. And then I'll plug Melissa Kalusinski, Kalusinski. So go look into the Melissa Kalusinski case. That's another client of Kathleen Zellner, where Melissa is in prison for a murder she did not commit. And she is like Brendan with the lower IQ, and they coerced her into a false confession. So go look into Melissa Kalusinski's case. And the Kalusinski family is a family that I highly support you donating money towards, if you're so inclined, because that money the Kalusinskis raise is just to get them to the prison, to visit Melissa, to pay for the gas and the tolls. And then, you should see how much Paul spoils Melissa because he knows all the treats and stuff she really likes. So, while we're there in the visiting room waiting, he's already buying her flaming hot Cheetos and her pizza rolls and all this stuff, and getting it all set for her. She really likes orange juice, because the orange juice they serve in the prison isn't the same that's in this, or apple juice. Is it apple juice or orange juice? I can't, or both. And so he takes the money that they get on, they have a GoFundMe, and he puts it on her card. No, I don't have it on me, because I have one from Kent, that you put the money on the card, and that's how you buy the stuff. And they put the money on the books. The Kalusinski family isn't using this for Christmas for themselves, or restaurants, or any of that. It is strictly to go see Melissa and to buy things for Melissa. So, which is actually something else that we had discussed on Gossip, to make a sweaty sweatshirt. And I posted it in Gossip today, that one of the members here at Gossip contacted the guy that drew the original artist of that nasty picture of Kratz, and asked their permission to use it to make shirts with, and they gave their permission and gave the high-res file for us to do it. So I just posted that today, actually, to sell sweatshirts. But the money will not be going to the Avery family. It's going to go to the Kalusinski family, because nobody's helping that family. I mean, they get a little, but on their GoFundMe, but nothing like the money that's coming in for Stephen. So, I am organizing those shirts to benefit the Kalusinski family. So, Melissa's Facebook is official Melissa Kalusinski Family Group. So you can find out about Melissa's case there. Like I said, I'm supposed to go visit her on Friday with her parents, but we'll be finding out Wednesday when her dad, Paul, gets his Wednesday call from Melissa, if we're going for sure on Friday. And then Kent Pellegrini, who I talked about earlier, his Facebook is Justice, the number 4 Kent, his last name Pelligrini. So those are both clients of Kathleen Zellner's that those are Illinois cases. Lee says, will buy Wrecking Crew, unfat, sweaty. Tiffany says, what about the book Unmaking a Murderer? I forget author's name. I have downloaded it because it was free, but haven't read it yet. Recommend or not? No. I'm glad you got it for free. But that one is, they were claiming money was going to Stephen, and no. And then Anne says, I like the writing on the shirt, but not sure I like his body on my body. I get it. So, all right. I went through all that closing stuff, 3:03 p.m. my time. So I'm officially going to go and try and eat something and nap. So, I'll be around Stephen Avery Project. So it's not like, oh, so long, farewell. But still, while we're live here, let me do, if you celebrate a holiday this week, happy holiday to you, whatever you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate, I hope you have a nice weekend. Hopefully you get a long weekend. Oh, wait, Stormy says, when we write to them, what should we write about? Write about who you are, where you're from, write about what you like, talk about, movies you like. If you like any kind of fishing or that kind of stuff, because Stephen really likes to fish. So just tell him about yourself, don't talk to him about his case. Don't tell him you feel so bad for him. Don't tell him you feel so bad for his parents. Just talk to him about yourself and then ask him about him. Now, he probably won't respond to you because he really doesn't write back to people because he's been burned and he doesn't like to write. So, but yeah, just tell them about yourself and what you like and, your family, if you've got kids and, what you like to do, that kind of stuff. So, all right, officially down to the bottom now. So, gonna go. See ya.